And welcome back to the Sportsnaut interview. We are joined once again by Jets beat writer Antwan Staley. He reports on the Jets for the New York Daily News. And Antwan, it feels like this is becoming a weekly segment with you and I here talking about the Jets. But once again, there's news. Last week it was they fired their head coach Robert Saleh, and now we have the news of Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams once again being reunited. There was a trade on Tuesday to send Adams from the Raiders to the Jets. And we knew this move was coming. This is something that has been speculated for a long time. But to me, and you can disagree with me if you feel differently, but after two consecutive losses, it just feels like it's coming a little bit more out of desperation now. I'm not sure if you agree with that, especially when you also consider that the Jets agreed to take on all of the salary that Adams was owed the remainder of the season from his contract with the Raiders. So I just want to get some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, they've actually lost 3 in a row. So, yeah, to lose 3 in a row like that, and, I mean, they feel like the season's starting to get away from them a little bit, so I
Mhm.
figured they had to do something, and, red zone efficiency was kinda an issue against Buffalo, and, why not bring in somebody that Aaron Rodgers has familiarity with? But, yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I don't think it necessarily solves all their issues or, a big part of them. I mean, it wasn't the offense wasn't the reason why, the Bills ended up getting them went over 140 yards rushing in Monday night game. And then also, Aaron Rodgers has been getting killed back there on the line. So yeah, I think they still have a lot of issues that they need to get corrected there. Obviously in the midst of a coaching change as well. So yeah, it's probably a band-aid for a lot of the issues that they have, but they feel like as far as the team morale and probably, from a fan perspective, it gets people excited.
Yeah, do you think that, kind of looking at some of the things that they have done recently since they've acquired Aaron Rodgers, do you think that they've seemingly given Rodgers maybe a little too much power? I mean, they brought in Nathaniel Hackett, and I know that they had Hackett on staff before they acquired Rodgers, but that was all done to try to lure Rodgers there. They brought in Alan Lazard, now trading for Davante Adams. It just seems like they're being overly accommodating for Aaron Rodgers. At what point does Woody Johnson, say to Rodgers, it's on you now to produce some results?
Well, I think it's now. I mean, they've done everything, they've been over backwards for the man. And then all of a sudden, they're still not producing as far as like a win-loss perspective. But,
Yeah.
they've dedicated a lot of resources this year, obviously last year too as well. So now it's just their time to go out and win, like to try to win. Obviously Aaron got hurt last year. They kind of put a little bit of a kink in the armor, but this year, like they're going for it. Like it's all or nothing, basically. They put all their chips in the middle of the table and say, you know what? Either we come out and try to win a Super Bowl, or we'll see how things may shake out after that. Everything could just potentially blow up after that. If Jeff Albrecht doesn't, to be retained as the interim head coach, then you're gonna have a new head coach in there, and then all of a sudden, maybe that guy wants a younger quarterback. Maybe he wants to move in a different direction, and maybe Aaron decides, you know what, maybe I want to, move on with the rest of my life too. So there's a lot to play, and actually, he said it in the spring, like if we don't do what we're supposed to do, we're probably all going to be out of here, and he's exactly right.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you foresee any type of backlash from Garrett Wilson with this trade now? Because the Jets are basically admitting now that maybe Wilson and the chemistry with Rodgers wasn't as good as what they thought it could have been. Wilson goes through a couple games where he's only getting 4 or 5 targets a game. Eagles get in the way sometimes. Do you think that could potentially be a problem?
It doesn't seem like it from his Twitter. It seemed like he was very happy about the trade.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think from his perspective, I mean, it would actually benefit him because it also, brings some like another wide receiver that could also take some pressure off of him, and they can move Garrett around a little bit more, whether it be in the slot, which he's a smaller guy than Devontae. Move him in the slot, they can move him in the outside. Like they have a lot of different options with Garrett. So, yeah, I think it'd be behooved him to really, be excited about the trade, and it seems like he is. Anything that can help them win potentially and get out of this snot that they've been in really the last few years, especially now losing 3 straight. I think he's definitely going to be all for.
Yeah. Now, ultimately, does this move the needle for you? I mean, we all know Adams is a great player, but he's not the player he was in Green Bay, and neither is Aaron Rodgers. I mean, this was a big time move here. They're taking on some salary. They gave up a draft pick. How much does this turn them into a contender to now make a deep playoff run? Should they, I mean, at 2-4, they still have work to do. It looks like the division still runs through Buffalo. Is this going to be a big time move for the Jets in order to get them to the playoffs?
To the playoffs, I mean, it could be. I think they could be. I think they could have been a playoff team potentially even before that. But again, like they still have some of the same issues that they'd had before the Adams trade or even before the Robert Saleh firing. They're still undisciplined. They committed 11 penalties against the Buffalo Bills. You can talk about the officiating all you want to, but again, this has been a constant thing with the Jets like throughout the last few years. So they have to get that cleaned up. They got to be able to protect Aaron Rodgers because let's face it, if Aaron goes down, then all of this is all for naught. It's not really going to matter anyway. So they got to make sure they keep him protected, and then to continue to just be able to stop the run and also run the football there. Breece Hall was able to have a really good game against Buffalo there. It came in a losing effort, but it was his best game of the season. So you just hope that with Todd Downing and the offensive changes that they've made, with the the play caller, that could continue to manifest itself into more wins.
And finally, what's next for the Jets? I hear they may not be done. I see reports that maybe Mike Williams could be is being shopped around now that they bring Adams in. I know that Hassan Reddick, he hired a new agent, Drew Rosenhaus, and I believe the Jets have given him a small window to try to seek a trade. Are the Jets done making moves?
I think they're done acquiring players. I don't know if they're done dealing players. Mike Williams, that would, he's only on 1-year contract, so it would make sense if they would just go ahead and move on there. I mean, they wouldn't know. I mean, he's not going to be on the team next year anyway. And then Reddick, it kind of seemed like once he got a new agency and then everything the Jets have been through, I think it's probably best today to go ahead and move on. I mean, the Jets are already in the midst of a season, and it's going to be hard to kind of bring somebody who has only been to the facility once, and then now all of a sudden, like you're going to have him come into the fold with all of these other players have been through the grind of training camp and now the season, and then all of a sudden he shows up. So it's probably their best gesture to go ahead and trade him. And you also got a team like the Detroit Lions that could use some pass rusher help after the Aiden Hutchinson injury.
Right. That would be maybe an ideal landing spot for him. Antwan, I hope you get some rest here. I know you've been busy covering the team. Never a dull moment with the Jets, but we appreciate your time as always.
Well, thank you.